bài trong ngoài hole, CWJ, dùng co, or section and LCH. What is malware? Probably you heard the word virus or been thrown around online, or even known by your parents, then wondering why would this godforsaken conception work properly? We know viruses are bad, but what exactly are they and how can you protect yourself from them? From now we will learn about viruses and other forms of malware. A virus is a software program designed to make its way onto your computer with the intention of getting out to no good. Viruses are not the only danger to your computer code, just the most commonly known form. Viruses are a type of malware or malicious software. There are many forms of malware out there in the digital world, all designed to cause some sort of error. Type of malware. Malware is software that built to be malicious, hence the name. It decides specifically to make its way onto your device, example your desktop, phone, tablet, and to manipulate or damage them. On top of that, malware can also record and steal your information like credit card account details. Scary stuff. So, what are the different types out there? Well, we have the previously mentioned viruses, but also worms, trojans, bots, spyware, adware, and ransomware. That one sounds particularly creepy. Basically, that is enough to give you a headache. Let's take a closer look at virus. Virus. A computer virus is a program script or macro designed to cause damage, steal personal information, modify data, send email, display message, or some combination of these actions. Viruses are always attached to a file. If someone email you a document with a virus attached to it, you have to actually download the document to be infected.
History of virus. Virology. The scientific study of viruses and the infections they cause. Beginning in the closing years of the 19th century, although Louis Pasteur and Edward Jenner developed the first vaccines to protect against virus infections, they do not know that viruses existed. The first evidence of the existence of viruses came from the experiments with filters that had pores small enough to retain bacteria. In 1892, Dmitry Inorsky used one of these filters to show that sap from a deceived tobacco plant remained infectious to healthy tobacco plants despite having been filtered. Martinez project called the filter infectious substance a virus, and this discovery is considered to be the beginning of biology. The subsequent discovery of partial categorization of bacteriophages by Felix D. Herrick further catalyzed the field, and by the early 20th century many viruses were discovered. CryptoLocker. When it comes to malware, ransomware is the new kid on the block. But most people can rattle off names like Trojan, viruses, and spyware. They are often not too familiar with ransomware. Ransomware is a kind of malware that takes your file hostage. You know, in Haze movies, when the bad guy grabs someone and threatens them in return for money. Ransomware works much like that, except your computer is taken hostage by a faceless bad guy. Released in September 2013, CryptoLocker spread through email, attachment, and encrypted the user's files so that they couldn't access them. The hackers then sent a decryption key in return for a sum of money, that is, WannaCry, usually somewhere from a few £100 up to a couple of grand. With some of the hacking attempts, system restore or recovery software work, although with many of the infected computers, if the victim didn't pay up, they lose all their files. Now is a good time to remind you to always back up your files up. In June 2014, Operation Tower took down Evgeny Bokachev, the leader of a gang of hackers behind CryptoLocker. In February, the FBI offered a cool 3 million reward. 3 million reward for Bokachev. Cause of the malware with 500,000 victims, CryptoLocker made upwards of 30 million in 100 days. Prevention towards viruses. Install antivirus malware software. This tip may go without saying, and I almost just casually mentioned it in my opening paragraph. However, I have seen many computers, especially home computers, that don't have antivirus malware protection. This protection is a must-have first step in keeping your computers virus-free. Secure your network. Many of computers connect to our box printers or the internet via a Wi-Fi connection. Make sure it requires a password to access it and the password is strong. Never broadcast an open Wi-Fi connection. Use WPA or WPA2 encryption. WEP is no longer strong enough as it can be bypassed in minutes by experts. It's also a great idea to not broadcast your SSID, the name of your Wi-Fi network. You can still access it with your device. You will just have to manually type in the SSID and the password. If you frequently have guests who use your internet, provide a guest SSID that uses a different password, just in case your friends are evil hackers. As multiple strong passwords, never use the same password, especially on your bank account. Typically, we use the same email address or username for all of our accounts. Those are easy to see and steal. If you use the same password for everything or on many things and it is discovered, then it takes only seconds to hack your account. Use a strong password. Use the lowercase, uppercase numbers and symbols in your password. Keep it easy to remember but difficult to guess. Do not use dates or pet names. Hacking. There are many definitions of hacking. Hacking is identifying weaknesses in computer systems and networks and exploiting the weaknesses to gain access. An example of hacking is using bypassing the login algorithm to gain access to a system. A hacker is a person who finds and exploits weaknesses in computer systems and networks to gain access. Hackers are usually skilled computer programmers with knowledge of computer security.
Hacker who gains access to systems with a view to fix the identified weaknesses. They may also perform penetration testing and vulnerability assessments. Cracker, black hat. A hacker who gains an unauthorized access to computer systems for personal gain. The intent is usually to steal corporate data, violate privacy rights, transfer funds from bank accounts. Gray hat. A hacker who is in between ethical and black hat hackers. He or she breaks into computer systems without authority with a view to identify weaknesses and reveal them to the system owner. Street kiddies. A non-skilled person who gains access to computer systems using already made tools. Hacktivists. A hacker who uses hacking to send social, religious, and political messages. This is usually done by hijacking websites and leaving the message on the hijacked website. Breaker, a hacker who identifies and exploits weaknesses in telephones instead of computers. History of hacking. It all began in the 1960s at MIT. Origin of the term hacker, where extremely skilled individuals practice hardcore programming in Fortran and other older languages. Some may ignorantly dub them nerds or geeks, but these individuals were by far the most intelligent individual and intellectually advanced people who happened to the pioneers and forefathers of the talented individuals that are today the true hackers. The true hackers amongst our societies have an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. Boredom is never an object of challenge for hackers. They have an almost anomalous ability to absorb, retain, and assert vast amounts of knowledge with regard to intricate details. In 1969, Bell Labs employee Ken Thompson invented Unix and permanently changed the future of the computer industry. Then, in the very early 1960s and 70s, Dennis Ritchie invented the computer programming language C, which was specifically invented to be used with Unix. Programmers ceased to use assembler while developing an appreciation for the portability of C, and a lot more to go. Famous hackers. Jonathan James was known as Comrade on the internet. What is his ticket to fame? He was convicted and sent to prison for hacking in the United States, while he was still a minor. At only 15 years of age, he managed to hack into a number of networks, including those belonging to Bell South, Miami-Dade, the U.S. Department of Defense, and NASA. Yes, hacked into the NASA's network and downloaded through enough source code to learn how the International Space Station works. The total value of the downloaded access equals 1.7 million. To add insult to injury, NASA had to shut down their network for 3 whole weeks while they investigated the breach, while cost them 41,000. The story of James had a tragic ending, however. In 2007, a number of high-profile companies fell victim to a massive wave of malicious network attacks. Even though James denied any involvement, he was suspected and investigated. In 2008, James committed suicide, believing he would be convicted of crimes that he did not commit.
In this slide, I'll teach you about a few preventions you can make against hackers. The first one is you should update your OS and other softwares frequently. This is because oftentimes outdated softwares they have vulnerabilities that hackers can exploit to get unauthorized access to your PC. Also, for extra protection, you should be constantly reviewing the applications that you have installed on your PC because sometimes some unknown malicious softwares can come bundled with the software that you want to download. And as such, if you're not cautious enough, you will install the software altogether with the malware that comes bundled with it on your PC. The second way of prevention is the second way of prevention against hackers is you have to be creative when it comes to security questions. This is because nowadays people can scrape sensitive information from you that are available on Facebook and other social media accounts without you being aware. These informations includes where you went to school at, what your mother name is, who your best friends are, and most importantly, your birthday. All of which you could have carelessly chosen to be the answer to their corresponding question. In order to avoid people from gaining unauthorized access to your account, you should use creative answers for your security question that only you and you know of. Now, thirdly, you should surf the web with caution, knowing that the dangers you are exposed to when you're on the internet. One way of doing this is that you should not go to the sites that you should only go to the sites that you deem safe. Now, because nowadays with so many websites on the internet, many of them have malicious intent for their visitors, especially for their sensitive data such as banking details and etc. Now, in this slide, I'll briefly talk about DOS, also known as denial of service, and DDoS, aka distributed denial of service. So, denial of service and distributed denial of service are one of the many methods used by hackers in cyber terrorism. DOS simply means stopping something from providing a service or a function. DOS involves the attacker who sends a flood of connection to the victim's computer, causing it to stop providing that specific function or service. In theory, a DDoS attack is just the same as a DOS attack, except for the fact that a DDoS attack involves a much larger scale and therefore produces a much more severe effect to its victim. In DDoS attack, the attacker have control of more than one computer. This is done by infecting those computers with a type of malware, and the way this type of malware spread is by having the users first download them. After the computers are infected by this type of malware, they are now a part of the botnet. A botnet, simply put, is a network of personal computers working together to accomplish a single task. These computers are often controlled through a server called command and control server, which is central to running and maintaining a botnet. Now, with control over the botnet, the attacker can now coordinate all of these computers to flood the connections of the victim's computer, causing a DDoS. When the victim's computer is flooded with all of this, when the victim's computer is flooded with all of these connections, its resources start to get consumed and depleted, making it unable to serve the user. Now, in the for this presentation, I'll conclude by saying that we as information technology students should learn more about malware and hacking not only to safeguard ourselves against the cyber terrorists, but also to educate the other people who are not as tech savvy and make the world a better place and a more secure place for all.
Thank you.